Hello everyone. Today I will tell you a story. The story is titled, Quirky in the Unhurried Afternoon. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you appreciate me. You can skip this if you don and oppose. Like this video. Thank you very much. The story begins as follows. The afternoon arrived quietly, like it was tiptoeing into the house, careful not to disturb anything. Sunlight slid through the half-open curtains and rested on the wooden floor in soft, golden shapes. Dust floated lazily in the air, moving without purpose, just like the time itself. On that floor, right in the warmest patch of light, lay Quirky. Quirky was my dog, a small creature with ears that never quite agreed on which direction to point and eyes that always looked like they were about to ask an important question. His fur was a little messy, not in a neglected way, but in the way that showed he lived fully, rolling on grass, leaning against furniture, and squeezing into places he clearly didn't fit. That afternoon, his belly rose and fell slowly as he slept, one paw twitching from time to time, as if he were chasing something gentle in his dreams. I had a list of things to do. Emails waited unanswered. A phone buzzed with reminders I pretended not to hear. My mind, however, was louder than any notification, jumping ahead to the evening, the next day, the next week. Yet Quirky did not care. He did not care about clocks or calendars or expectations. He only cared that the floor was warm, the house smelled like home, and I was nearby. When I stood up, Quirky's eyes opened immediately. Not wide, not alarmed, just enough to check if I was leaving. His tail made one slow, lazy thump against the floor. I smiled without realizing it. Don't worry, I said, mostly to myself. I'm not going anywhere. Quirky accepted this answer completely. His head dropped back onto the floor, chin resting between his paws. The trust in that simple motion felt heavier than words. I sat down again, this time closer to him, my back against the sofa. The to-do list stayed where it was. The afternoon seemed to stretch its arms and yawn. Outside, distant sounds drifted in. A motorbike passing, a vendor calling out softly, birds arguing in the trees. Quirky's ear twitched at each noise, not because he was anxious, but because he was curious. He lived in a world where everything was worth noticing, even if only for a moment. After a while, he rolled onto his side, then onto his back, paws in the air, exposing his belly like it was the most natural thing to do. It was an invitation, of course. I scratched his belly gently, and his back leg kicked in uncontrollable happiness. His mouth opened slightly, forming what looked like a smile. In that moment, the afternoon stopped feeling like a gap between tasks. It became something whole. Quirky had turned time into a place where nothing needed to be achieved, only shared. As the sun shifted, the light on the floor moved too, slowly crawling away from Quirky. When the warmth left him, he followed it, dragging himself a few inches at a time, as if standing up would be far too much effort for such a peaceful day. I watched, amused by how seriously he took this important mission. Eventually, he sat up and looked at me with that familiar expression, half question, half suggestion. Walk, I guessed. His tail wagged once. Just once. Calm, confident. We stepped outside together, not rushing, not chasing anything. The street was quieter in the late afternoon, like everyone had agreed to slow down for a while. Quirky walked beside me, stopping often to sniff invisible stories written on the ground. Every leaf, every corner, every lamppost had something to say, and he listened carefully. I used to tug the leash, urging him forward, worried about time. But that afternoon, I didn't. I let him stop. I let him decide the pace. And something strange happened. The slower we went, the lighter I felt. Quirky greeted familiar faces along the way. A neighbor bent down to pat his head, and Quirky responded by sitting politely, eyes bright, tail wagging like he had been waiting all day for this exact moment. Children pointed and smiled. Someone laughed when Quirky tried to befriend a cat who clearly did not share his enthusiasm. None of these interactions were grand. None would make headlines or memories that lasted decades. But together, they formed something meaningful. Quirky connected people without trying. He reminded me, that kindness doesn't have to be loud to be real. On the way back, we stopped at a small park. I sat on a bench, and Quirky lay at my feet, chewing thoughtfully on a stick he had chosen after careful inspection of several options. The sky above us softened into pastel colors. I took a deep breath, noticing for the first time that my shoulders weren't tense. Corky finished with the stick and rested his head on my shoe. It was a small gesture, but it anchored me completely in that moment. I wasn't thinking about what came next. I wasn't replaying what came before. I was simply there, with him. Back at home, Corky drank some water, then circled his bed 3 times before lying down, his own quiet ritual. I made tea and sat nearby, watching him. His eyes grew heavy, blinking slowly, until sleep took him again. I realized then that Corky didn't just live in my home. He shaped the way time flowed within it. He made space for pauses, for softness, for being present. And without ever meaning to, he taught me how to do the same. Corky's unhurried afternoon is more than a sweet memory. It is a gentle lesson about how we live today. In a world that constantly pushes us to move faster, achieve more, and think ahead, animals like Corky remind us of a different rhythm, one that values presence over productivity. From Corky, we learn that slowing down is not wasting time. It is reclaiming it. When he stops to sniff the ground or lies in the sunlight without guilt, he shows us that rest is not something we earn, but something we need. Applying this to our own lives can mean allowing ourselves short pauses during the day, putting the phone aside, and truly noticing where we are. Corky also teaches us about trust and connection. His calmness comes from knowing he is safe and loved. In our relationships, with people and animals alike, we can create the same sense of security by being attentive, patient, and kind. Animals depend on us not only for food and shelter, but for emotional care. In return, they offer companionship that is honest and healing. Living well with animals means listening to them, respecting their pace, and learning from their simplicity. If we let them, they can guide us toward a more balanced, compassionate, and meaningful life, one unhurried afternoon at a time.